Oh, the first thing is I want to make sure I have enough clearance with my chainsaw mill. So yeah, I can cut this log. So that's good. Now I got to go. One of the hardest parts about this whole process is setting up for your first cut in this log. And what I'm going to do is I made these plates. I'm going to screw these plates onto both ends. Screw them here, screw another one down there, and run some steel tube as rails that I can run my chainsaw mill on and get that first nice, smooth, straight cut. And then once I have that first slab off, then I can run right on the wood itself. So it's going to take me a little bit to get set up here. I got to screw these in. I'll show you that process. I got to change my chain to a ripping chain, and then we'll be ready to take our first cut and go from there. Now, I just wanted to show you here real quick the difference between a ripping chain and a crosscut chain. Here's the ripping chain on the saw, and the angle here is the difference on the tooth. The angle on a ripping chain is like between 5 and 10 degrees off perpendicular with the bar. So this is a really shallow angle here, and it really does make a difference. I found that it makes a nice, much smoother cut when I'm using a ripping chain. And then here's my crosscut chain I use for falling and bucking and stuff. And you can see the difference of the angle. It's quite a bit more pronounced. This is like 20 or 25. And I think it's 25 actually on my file. But there's the difference. And this hogs off more wood and is great for, falling and bucking and limbing. But when it comes to ripping big, long slabs, I much prefer the ripping chain. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. If you guys have done this before, do you prefer ripping chain or do you just use one chain for everything? I'd be curious about that, but see what you guys think. All right, so let's get a log set up here for our first cut. And I'm just gonna put this first plate up here, kind of up near the top somewhere. The orientation really doesn't matter a whole lot for this first one. But I just screw the plate onto the end of the log. And you're gonna have holes in here, but that's the first cut and it's all the bark and stuff, so it doesn't really matter if you have holes in the end of your log or on the end of this first cut because it's pretty much waste. But then one of the important things is to get it level, and so you can match up both plates when you put them on, and that ensures you have a nice straight smooth cut all the way through. Little bent screw there. There we go. Now we're level there. So now I'll go down to the other end. I'll put the other plate on, and then I'll run my rails down the top. Now this is an 8-foot log, and these are 12-foot beams or tubes. And someone left me a comment one time, and I haven't done it yet, but I promise I will. Sometimes when I'm running these, especially if the angle's going downhill quite a bit, these tubes vibrate, and they vibrate along, and they start working their way towards the edge, and if they fall off, then I'm kind of screwed. But someone said, weld a nut right here, put a bolt in, and just clamp the tube in with a bolt. It's a great idea. I'm going to do it someday. But right now we're all set up. I'm going to fire up the saw, get the mill going, and we'll take our first cut, slab off all this bark and this junk we can't use. We'll see what our log looks like, and we're going for that first cut is somewhere between 18 and 20 inches of wood for our live edge slabs on both edges. All right, well that is a wide slab, but the wood looks beautiful. I was having a little trouble here early on with some chatter. You can see all the chatter marks of the chain, and I don't know if it was like the orientation of my bar, but down here I somehow kind of got it figured out, and it's a lot better. I'm gonna put a little sharpen on my chain here and see if I can get rid of some of that chatter. But man, those are nice, beautiful slabs. So now that we got our nice smooth surface or flat, straight surface, let's see how we look here. See, I mean, that's pretty good. Now I can just run the mill bars right on top of this face. And our next one, this guy wants 3-inch thick slabs. So we're going to come down 3 inches and we'll just take another slab right off the top here. And we'll see what that looks like. But he's going to have some beautiful live edge, both sides, big slabs, nice cedar stuff. All right, we're about to take our first slab off, and I'm using a Stihl 500i, and between getting that first one off and then taking this next slab, I'll pretty much have used a full tank. So on a slab this wide, I get about 2 cuts, and then I'm out of gas. So we'll get this first one off, see what it looks like, refuel, and do the next 2. Nice slab there. All right, well now you guys can giggle at me while I try and get this thing in the truck. I always like cutting them, but then, you know, a 3-inch slab, 8 feet long and 24 inches wide is pretty heavy. Okay, whew, mission accomplished. Well, we've cut our second slab now, and it went really good. So I've got one more to go. This last one's going to be 2.5 inches thick, and it's going to be the legs for his two benches here. So we'll get this last slab cut, and then we're all finished up. Well, here's our third and final slab here, and it turned out really good. I thought there would be a little more rot down here based on what I saw at the end of the log, but I think it's great wood. I did I did the first cut, and then I sharpened the chain, and then I did the next 3 with the same chain. It looks like it's slowing down a little bit. It probably could use another sharpen. Used about 1.5 tanks of gas. But we got our 3 slabs, and I'll take them back, and the customer can build his bench. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.